finished with the question and answer session and our opening statements and our closing statements. The closing statement will happen as soon as I wrap up with questions this evening. Now, with the aldermen and more candidates, it will take just a little bit longer to get through this, but I appreciate your patience with this. All right, we will begin, and we'll just start on the end, and then we'll come all the way back around, and then we'll kind of reverse order and mix up the order as we go, so that not everyone is having to go first or go last. So the opening statement, Mr. Burge, if you would, go ahead and give us your statement, and you have the time up to 4 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Can we
Trade mic.
trade mics? We got a problem with one of the mics. Okay, it should be on. If you'll just hand it over to me.
Check. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you. If you don't know my name, I'm Matthew Bird, running for Alderman. Appreciate this opportunity to be able to come and speak openly. A little bit about myself. I was born at Hardin, graduated from this high school, but in the gymnasium because they were repairing the auditorium at the time. I've lived here most of my life after that. My wife and I were fortunate. We actually were able to have our wedding ceremony inside of South Jackson Civic Center. And I've got a son at Bel Air Elementary. Most of my career has been centered around the precision machining industry, working for Cubic, Microcraft, and then transitioning into planning for Microcraft, Schmid, and now the Air Force Base. My experience there gives me understanding, patience, and flexibility. And I think that's something that Tullahoma needs to move into the future. My goals for this city are how we can grow in a smart way, how to expand our businesses, and then also how to improve our city's infrastructure in a long-lasting way. Our city is growing, there's no doubt about that, but we do need to make sure that it isn't something that can snowball into something we aren't prepared for. We have 1,200 residences currently being planned to be built in Tullahoma, and I think that we need to make sure that our infrastructure can scale with that. Make sure that we have the schools, the garbage pickup, the police officers, the fire departments already in place so that we aren't left with an overwhelmed city. Business growth, we've lost, I think, close to a dozen manufacturing businesses now. And I think that's something that we could incentivize manufacturers to come back to Tullahoma. With that, it would bring in higher paying jobs. And with manufacturing, it doesn't impact any of the small locally owned businesses. In fact, we'd have more money coming into Tullahoma, which would help those businesses grow also. And then when it comes to the infrastructure, we need to have a plan on how we pay for that. And I think the main point there is that we pay for it with our growth. The more people we have living here means that there are more people paying property taxes. The more people spending money here means that there's more money coming from the sales taxes. It doesn't need to be an increase in our taxes. Thank you. It doesn't have to be an ultimatum of increasing taxes or cutting funding, because I don't think that we need to remove anything from our current city. And I'll pass with that. Thank you.
All right. We're going to try that. We'll try it, Mike.
Just.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal. Thanks, Glenn. All right, Mr. Kamek, it is your opportunity.
Hello, my name is Franklin Kamek. I've lived in Coffee County my entire life. I grew up on a farm about 2,000 acres over in Hillsborough. Graduated Coffee County High School in 2002. Went to Motlow and MTSU, graduated with a degree in business education. I lived in Manchester starting in 2006. Got my first teaching job teaching at the high school in Grundy County. Doing business education, marketing, technical classes, CTE. I moved to Tullahoma in 2016 and was able to get a job at West Middle School in 2018. I've just finished up my 6th year of teaching there, 18 years of teaching overall. Teaching at the middle school was never part of my master plan. I went to school to be a high school teacher, and well, you know, sometimes plans change. And I wound up at West, and my career has flourished in the 6 years I've been over there. I've been nominated 3 times for Tullahoma's Finest Teacher, winning it once in 2022. And this year, I was honored by receiving Tullahoma City Schools Middle School Teacher of the Year. Running for a political office was also never part of my master plan. It wasn't something I ever aspired to do, something that I wasn't, really, again, just wasn't there. But just because it's not part of your master plan doesn't mean that you can't flourish and do well in a role. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to do here as an alderman for Tullahoma. 3 of my biggest things that I'm looking at is number 1, education. Just making sure that the school systems have what the school systems need to be able to continue educating our future generations, the ones that's coming after us. Number 2 is responsible growth. As it was stated earlier, we are growing. And while it doesn't seem like we are growing at a rate that we are, it seems like we're growing much faster. We are growing. And we need to make sure that the infrastructure is there to take care of this growth. Not only is it just having affordable housing and places for people to live, but it's will everything around it hold up to that? Will the roads be okay? Is wastewater management, is that set up in those areas properly? Can it have this influx coming into these areas? Fire and rescue. So making sure we have the entire infrastructure there is key. And number 3 is protecting small businesses. Bringing in manufacturing jobs doesn't hurt local business. While we have, new brand restaurants coming in, what about our local ones? How does those new places impact our small local community? So those are my 3 points, and I think that's my time. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Bush-Toma.
Yes, I'm Bush-Toma. I want to thank Lucky for the neat name. I also appreciate...
You said that to me on the phone.
Yeah, I did. And I also appreciate the audience willing to come out and listen to your candidates. As you may know, the decisions made by your board mayor and alderman can affect you more than your state and federal legislators. I really want to thank the other candidates for willing to run. This may have a little irony to it, but it's great to still live in a country where a person can run for public office without the fear of being imprisoned or poisoned. Why am I running? I've lived here all my life, and I think it's important that people have choices. On a personal note, because I've lived here all my life, this community has given a lot to me. And I'd like to have this opportunity that I hope that I can give something back to the community. I thank you for this opportunity, and I pass it on. Oh, you got your mic.
All right, Mr. Santana.
Hello. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Santana. I'm a candidate for alderman. Real quick, thank you to 93.9 and Lighttube for sponsoring this event and giving us an opportunity to speak directly to the voters. Unlike all my fellow candidates here, I am not a lifelong Tullahoman, but I am a lifelong Tennessean. And I think that gives me a little bit of an edge because I've seen the good and the bad. I grew up in Jackson, Tennessee, another small town out in West Tennessee. Started my schooling over there, then I transferred over to MTSU, lived in Murfreesboro for a few years, and then I moved to Nashville to start my IT consulting career. And let me tell you folks, living in Nashville during COVID will have you longing for the small town upbringing you came with more than anything else. So while I was up there, I met my wife, Larissa Cheney Santana, and she is a lifelong Tullahoman. Her family's been here for over 75 years, and so it was a no-brainer to move down here and put down some roots. And ultimately, that's why I'm running. I want to give back to this community, and now that I'm a recent husband and a new dad, my daughter just turned 1 year old this Monday, and that's the principal reason why I'm running. I want her to grow up in a nice, clean, safe, economically vibrant town, and with the current state of affairs, we're struggling to achieve those goals. We have a lot of opportunities here, and this next administration is going to have to make a lot of key decisions, right? Do we grow? Do we stagnate? Do we go with hyper-growth? Or do we find somewhere in the middle, which is what I would like? Again, I lived in Murfreesboro, I lived in Nashville, I watched the massive explosion in the population and kind of, the crazy carte blanche buildings, carte blanche building of apartments and new businesses, et cetera, without scaling the infrastructure to cope. The roads there are terrible, folks. I go up there pretty often for business still, and every time I go up there, the highways get worse and worse.
1 minute.
All right, 1 minute. So, again, my platform is pretty simple. 3 points. Number 1, reputation repair. Number 2, sensible spending. Number 3, sensible growth. So, appreciate your vote. Let's get into it.
All right, Sabrina McGee.
Hi, first I want to say thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to you all who came out tonight to listen to the candidates. Hello, as he stated, my name is Sernobia McGee, and I'm running for Alderman. I don't have an agenda for any type of personal or self-gain. Born and raised here in Tullahoma, people know my character. They know I have a heart for the people and that I stand for what's right and will treat everyone the way that I want to be treated. When you are an elected official, you are voted in by citizens to make the best decisions that will benefit the citizens. We should listen to hear and not be so quick to listen to respond. I hope to bring some balance to the board, not only balance but diversity, by not only being a representative of the Black community, but for those who feel like their voices are not heard or that their voices don't matter. I want to change the perception of what it takes to be a city official. I was a single parent, I was a recipient of Section 8, and I currently help raise my grandchildren. I can relate to the concerns and fears of those who feel unheard. There is an old saying that says, anything that doesn't grow eventually dies. I am for growth, but slow growth and planned growth due to the infrastructure of our city. I am for affordable housing. I also want to advocate to bring industry back. When I was a little girl, Tullahoma was booming with industries. Wilson's, they were here, Genesco was here, Tennessee Apparel, BF Goodrich, Worth Sporting Goods, and the Tannery. Getting retail and food establishments, that's good, but if there aren't any viable jobs, those places will eventually leave also. I think it is important for the city to maintain a healthy budget and not spend money frivolously. I plan to advocate for our city employees. For any company or business, your employees are your greatest assets. I don't want to be remembered as someone to advance their platform at the expense of the people, but rather be remembered as someone who advanced the people by way of the platform. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going, we'll stay with you, Ms. McGee, with our first question, and it's a little similar to what we started off with the mayor candidates, but it's going to be kind of a two-part question. That way it'll cut down a little bit. First, what made you decide to run for Alderman, and what set you aside from the people that you are running against?
What made me decide to run for Alderman is very simple. I did have the opportunity to serve in 2020 to 2022. I was appointed to fill an open seat. And I want to make a difference in our city. I missed working with the people that, I've met a lot of very interesting people that I would not have met otherwise by serving on the board of mayor and aldermen. And so I just really missed it. And like I said, I want to make a difference and bring just a little bit of calmness and maturity to the board.
Okay. All right, we'll just kind of go this way. Mr. Santana.
All right, well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm running primarily because of my daughter, and I want her to grow up in a pro-family, economically vibrant town. As for, what makes me qualified to do that, I'm not a politician. I've never done anything like this before, so I do have a lot to learn, but I think my career in cybersecurity consulting has given me the skills to take it on. My clients are all over the country and all over the world. I build cybersecurity and compliance programs for everything from a pre-revenue startup to Fortune 500 companies and everything in between. I work with really complex organizations every day where I have to ingest vast amounts of information quickly, figure out the good, figure out the bad, fix it. And I got to do all that while managing a lot of different stakeholder relationships. Again, because I haven't lived here my whole life, I'm not privy to any long-standing family squabbles or competing business interests, etc. So I'm going to look at things through a very objective, clear lens. And again, I think that's going to give me an edge here to deliver for the people.
Mr. Tillman.
I think the key thing that I've already expressed why I wanted to run is that I've lived here all my life and this community has given a lot to me. This is an opportunity for me to give back. I also think the point is that, you talk about things, but until you walk in somebody's moccasins, you really don't have a right to say a whole lot. But being that, as you will notice, I'm the youngest person up here. I think the thing that
I think I'm older.
Oh, okay, we won't get into that. But the bottom line is that it's not so much what makes me different amongst us, it's what I think I can contribute best for the board, and that's experience. Live in this community all my life. I have 48 and a half years of being in businesses in this town, and I feel successfully. I have been a partner, an individual, and a principal. I know business concepts. I know what it takes to do a budget. I know what it takes to deal with employees. I know what it takes to do capital expenditures. All these things to me is what a board, a mayor and an alderman really does. The difference is instead of having clients, our clients are the citizens.
30 seconds.
Okay, quick deal. I've served on several boards. The board that's given me the most experience was my association. When I was president, I was responsible for 400 independent insurance agencies across the state. That was not an overnight. It took 8 years to get to that process. I worked with legislators, state and federal. So I think that experience and the experience I've had for living here and in my business experience, I hope will contribute if I'm elected to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Franklin.
So I've lived by something my entire life. If I'm going to complain about something and then I have the opportunity to fix it and I don't, I'm a hypocrite. And over the past, I'd say 8 to 10 months, I have criticized this board of aldermen and mayor quite heavily as I've seen several different things come across the table. So when election season opened up, I was like, well, I need to do this. So that is one of the big reasons of why I'm running, is because I think I can try to do better. What sets me apart is I'm already a civil servant. I mean, I've been educating children for the past 18 years. So I have seen what the previous generation, what they were like. I've seen what this generation is going to be like. And I would like to try to set things up to be, better for them, to make sure this is the Tullahoma we want them to be able to have. So as far as what sets me aside, I'm already in this realm in a way. So this is just kind of an extension of that.
Matthew Burke.
What really got me driven to run is my son. I wanted for Ken to have the opportunity, if he chose to move back here when he's an adult also. I wanted Tullahoma to exist in another 10, 20, 50, if it can, 100 years. I think what sets me apart, maybe not sets me apart, but one of the skills that I have is I'm a natural mediator. I've always had the skill to bring people together, not push them apart. A friend of mine, he's said many times to me that you need to approach everything with mutual understanding and respect. And I think that's something that I've really tried to live by, is to show everyone the respect that everyone deserves. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when being in a leadership position. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Toma, we're going to start with you. We'll start in the middle this time. This has been brought up during the mayor's part and a little bit here, is housing. There's been a lot of comments made about housing and better opportunities and affordable housing, and all that has been brought up tonight. So what do you think the city can do to help in that area of housing? Because we have seen over the last just few years of how housing prices have gone way up, rent has gone way up. Is there a way that the city could get involved to be able to help in this area to make it, for people moving into this area to find affordable housing, to be able to put down roots here and stay here and be a part of the community for a long time to come, like yourself. You said you've been here all your life. That's a statement in itself.
The question here is define affordable housing. Affordable housing in Nashville, Tennessee is absolutely totally different than Tullahoma. So from a government standpoint, I think the key to us is determined by zoning and by codes what kind of housing that we actually want to have. I can't state in regards to a lot of affordable housing depends on loans, income, which in my opinion is something that we need to look at. What do we want to recruit? So I think all those things play into it. So I can't really define exactly what you're asking. All I can say that I think we all are interested in giving opportunities for people to be able to buy a home if they so choose.
Okay, Mr. Campbell.
So kind of playing off of that just a little bit, affordable housing. I mean, the definition of that. Who's actually setting the prices for the housing?
We hear that statement a lot. Yes.
So, I mean, it comes down to that. Who is setting those prices? So we can build what we think is affordable, affordable homes, but when the contractors turn around and put the price at $250,000, is that really an affordable price for somebody coming right out of college? Educators, nurses, even our emergency service personnel, people can't afford that right out of the gate. So, when it comes to those housings, I mean, it's just, you have to look at the zones, you have to look at where they're being built and what kind of neighborhoods they're being matched with. Honestly, I don't have a perfect answer for that question. And it's something that I can look into and try to figure out.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Matthew Bird.
To preface this a little bit, I like math, so I like facts, I like figures. Tullahoma's median income for a family is $55,000 a year. If you go with what a bank recommends of 30% of your income goes towards your house, that means that you have $1,375 a month to put towards your house for the average family. That ends up being about a $190,000 house. There are 17 houses currently on Zillow that are under $200,000. And I imagine there's more than 17 people in that gap that are looking for houses. So I think that's where we need to try and approach developers who can build houses that are more affordable. And that could be through smaller lot sizes. There are people who enjoy having close neighbors, who like to have that close neighborhood feeling, and we need to have that opportunity for them to have that. But at the same time, we can also have the opportunity for other housing options, more apartment complexes. There's one planned on being built on 41A right now, and I think that's a great thing to be putting in. So I think that finding the right people to help develop Tullahoma to make the housing affordable is the best approach for that.
Sir Nobi?
I'll also think that it goes back to bringing industry here to our city. And, you know, as everyone has stated, we have to define what is affordable housing. What I can afford, someone else may not. But it just depends on the market, and it also depends on their salary. So I think we have to define what affordable housing is, and, you know, advocate for those contractors to come in and work with our city to build more affordable homes.
Okay. Mr. Santana?
Unfortunately, it's very difficult for a local government to drive down housing prices directly. I wish I could wave a magic wand and stop the Federal Reserve from printing trillions of dollars during the pandemic, but I can't do that. Now, what we can do is develop and maintain neighborhoods for all income groups, and we have to capitalize on the economic tailwinds coming our way, right? We have the base, we have the industrial side. Right now, the 100+ open engineer positions at the base, those guys can't get houses. They got to go to Murfreesboro and commute over here. So we need to cater developments to the jobs coming in and the growth coming in. And, you know, if we're going to scale up retail and new shops and stuff, we need some housing for them as well. So we have to scale as the economy scales, and we need to consider all the different income brackets.
Thank you. All right. The next question is something that I think really needs to be answered tonight, because we talk about positive things happening in our community, and that's all great. And keeping that going is all great. Mr. Kamek, we're going to start with you. What, in your thoughts about Tullahoma's future, might be our biggest threat to the success continuing in Tullahoma? I'll give you time to think. That's a little different question.
It is a little different. Biggest threats. Well, and I hate saying it like this, but, you know, just growth. Say growth is a good thing, but it can also be a negative. We grow too quickly, things fall apart. Something that I've looked at when I was teaching a sports entertainment marketing class is the Super Bowl, just using that for an example. Super Bowl, whenever that comes into whatever city, crime goes up, drugs go up, every form of criminal activity goes up in that city over the course of that week and the week after. So as far as threats to us, we're not hosting the Super Bowl or anything, but I mean, as we start growing, if we grow too quickly, those things come in and we may not be able to keep up with it or be able to eradicate it after it kind of settles in.
Okay. Mr. Burt?
I agree with Franklin there. I think that growth is a possible threat, but I think it's also finding the happy middle. Cernovia said it earlier that if you don't grow, then you're dying, I believe. Stagnation, if you see a company that doesn't grow, they're not improving the company, then that company tends to fail. And I think that we might see that as a city if we refused to grow. But at the same time, if we explode in growth, we have more kids that can go to school, so we're having to put them in some of the portable classrooms permanently, not just as a temporary fix while we're building a new school. Then it's finding that happy medium where we can grow but not too fast, where we can thrive. And that's what I'm looking for.
Mr. Thomas?
I've always been a positive thinker. The bottom line is I always try to take the negatives out so I can see the positives. Negative feelings to me may be dealing with the attitude of the community. I think we've seen, at least in my opinion, that the conduct of our board is one of the issues that has been brought up to me. And I think that if we, as leaders, help change that attitude, work together, understand differences are healthy, work as a team, that to overcome those, the boards I've ever served on, that's how we addressed it. So I don't see a negative per se growth. Well, growth does come with negatives, but if we grow the right way, we can negate a lot of those negatives. So be positive. Let's look at the positive. Let's grow toward the positive. And I think the negatives will take care of themselves.
Ms. McGee?
I think one of the biggest threats would be, afraid of the unknown or afraid of change that, growth can cause. Just like Mr. Thomas said, I try to look at the positive because negativity just wastes a lot of energy. One of the things that I do with my staff, whenever we have a one-on-one, I talk to them about the positives of different things, because when you talk about the positives first, the negative things don't seem as big, and we're able to work through them. So I think being able to agree to disagree, to work well together, to get along, and that's one thing that I have enjoyed with these candidates. We've had a couple of meet and greets where we've all been there, and I think that was such a powerful thing for the citizens to see, because we're already working together. Regardless of who gets elected in or not, we're already working together. We've already shared ideas of things that we would still like to do, even if we're not elected. So I think because some people can't operate outside of chaos, they become afraid of unity, but we're stronger together.
We're going to have more joint meet and greets, by the way, so stay tuned for that. The biggest issue that we're facing right now is not growing at all because of the reputation of the town, right? And so that gets to point number one, and kind of echoing the common theme here is reputation repair, right? You've had turnover at several key positions. You have the mudslinging on TV. You have these tit-for-tat lawsuits. All these things collectively really tarnish the reputation of our town, and people don't really realize the magnitude of the effect that has, right? When businesses see those headlines, they don't want to invest in this community. They don't want to come down here and bring, new businesses and new jobs. So, we have to come together. We need to bring stability, back to the board, and we need to let all of our neighbors and the partners at the base and the partners in the city know that Tullahoma is back open for business.
Mr. Santana, I'm going to stick with you on this next question. You see a lot of growth in Tullahoma. Retail has been just booming. All you have to do is just get out the road and drive down the road and you see it. Are we lacking going out and recruiting more manufacturing jobs, those type of businesses that are going to hire? You talk about your business and being in cybersecurity, those type of businesses that would secure a good foundation for a family. So I'm asking you, what can Tullahoma do to better recruit stable jobs for people, not just, your $10 an hour jobs. We're looking at, jobs now that we need. We talked about, how much rent's going to cost, how much housing there's going to cost. We need jobs that are going to pay more. So what do we do as a city to try to do better at that job?
Sure. So there's a couple different ways to look at this and tackle it. You have kind of the manufacturing jobs and having industry and building stuff here. I think the industrial site will eventually solve this, so I'd like to think we're covered there. Of course we want to have more manufacturing jobs, but it's just very difficult to be competitive as a manufacturing economy. We've outsourced everything overseas because it's cheaper. That from an industrial standpoint, I hope the mega site delivers. If not, right, we got to look at other opportunities. But the other piece to this is making our community very attractive for people that work from home like myself. I've lived in Tennessee my whole life. I didn't realize how much of a gem southern middle Tennessee is. In West Tennessee, where I'm from, it's flat. There's nothing but farms, restaurants, banks, and churches. Here, you have all that, plus the lake and the waterfalls and all the beautiful nature around here. So we need to do a better job marketing ourselves, frankly, and doing so collectively as a region. We have to advertise, all of our strengths and how beautiful our area is. And if you have that, you're going to have people that are going to get the heck out of Nashville and move down here and spend their money here.
Ms. McGee, we'll go back to you about this.
I think something that will help us in this area is, do more talking up trade jobs, welding, plumbing, carpentry, for the businesses that are already here. And when other manufacturing companies come in, be competitive with the pay. That will attract more people who would want to work at the different companies. So there's a number of things that are played into this with the manufacturing and the growth of our town.
Okay. Mr. Thomas.
I think the key is the same working.
Oh, there we go.
Good. Glad to know it is. Manufacturing jobs, when I was on the Tullahoma Industrial Board, that was our key focus, is finding manufacturing. But there's a realization about Tullahoma that we all have to accept. We're landlocked. Most manufacturing jobs are going to require a lot more acreage than we have available. So I'm really excited about seeing manufacturing jobs go to places that are around our community, but yet those people come back here to work, to live. We need to identify ourselves with what we're good at. We're a high-tech corridor. We need to promote, as John said, that if there's any silver lining with COVID, it was the ability to work from home. If you talk to a lot of these young people that are wanting and are moving back here, a lot of them don't have jobs in Tullahoma. They are working for somebody in New York City or whatever. So we need to make sure our infrastructure supports that. But I think the selling point, I'm not worried about quantity. I'm concerned about quality. And if we set the goal that this is what we want, this is what we need to identify, I'd much rather have 10, 100 employee jobs than 1,000. And that's what you're primarily dealing with manufacturing.
Okay. Mr. Cannon.
So one of the things you got to look at too in my mind is, why did we lose some of the manufacturing to begin with? What caused some of these places to leave? And what can we do to reestablish ourselves to bring them back? We do have the mega site that is going in north of Manchester, which is going to bring in, I think I've heard, like 8,000 jobs. So that in itself is going to be a big thing. The base is going, they're getting into the hypersonics. So that's going to be bringing in jobs that ways. We have Nissan over towards Winchester. So, not to steal an answer that you've already given, but we are kind of surrounded by this industry. And with us not having access to the interstate, we don't have a way of moving a lot of these products or things that are manufactured back and forth. So there are a few places that we can, try to bring back. Microcraft, just right over here. How long have they been in this town, and that building is now, what are we using that building for? Honestly, don't know. So, we can try to reestablish ourselves in some of these manufacturing spots, bring them back, and, I like the focus of the places around us.
All right. Matthew Bird.
Coming from a background in manufacturing, that's where one of my strengths is, and I've seen firsthand how a family can grow and thrive through having careers in the manufacturing industry. But to also add on to what Mr. Thomas said, We do have the opportunity for people to work from home, and Tullahoma has an incredible high-speed and relatively low-cost fiber optic internet network. And that's something that I think we could really market. It's something that it's something that we could push for, is that we do have this ability to have affordable, high-speed internet that not many other places can offer. And it might even lead to a new slogan of Tullahoma, the remote city.
Mr. Bird, we're going to stick with you. This will be one of my final questions tonight. And again, thank y'all for being so genuine and be so kind to each other. That statement was made earlier, and I certainly appreciate that, but that leads to the question. We have seen problems that people have addressed to not only me, but others in the public, and also others in the media as well, about meetings that have really gotten to heated portions. We'll say it like that. And I think that I'm seeing respect up here tonight. What is your plan as an alderman to continue to show exactly what you've shown up here on this stage tonight? Because I think it's important to the people that are listening tonight and are here, not to see you up here, but to see you just down the road at City Hall continue to act the same way. So how do you control it if a person that is on the board comes at you and wants to attack you on a personal level or even on a professional level while you're sitting on the board? How do you react to that type of situation?
That's actually a difficult question to answer. You don't really know how your reaction is going to be until you've experienced it. I have, in a private setting, experienced that, someone attacking my morals, and my choice is not to respond. I don't think there's any reason to degrade myself to that level, because I think anyone, especially an elected official or someone in a leadership position, should be held to a higher standard than other people, because there are citizens who look up to them. There's people who want to have someone to respect, and I think that should be something that is shown all the time, not just in a meeting, but privately on social media also.
Ms. McGee, we're going to go to you next, since you have served on the board, and sometimes it has been very heated. Sometimes that can be a good thing, because it's bringing out good discussions. But times that there have been, and you've seen it, things get a little personal. And what would be your response in those type of situations?
One of the things that our parents taught us was never bring embarrassment to your home. And Tullahoma is home for me. I think it's very important as a city official to be mindful of how you carry yourself, whether you're seated at a meeting or even just out in Tullahoma. So we do live in a small town, and you're going to cross paths with everybody at some point. I think, like Matthew said, no response is a response. For me personally, I'm not confrontational, and I don't like foolishness. So I think when you carry yourself a certain way, it builds the trust and the confidence that the citizens have in you.
Okay. Mr. Santana?
Yeah, I think Tucker Carlson, love him or hate him, is such a really good example when it comes to handling this. So, he says that the only opinions he cares about are those of his immediate family and friends. I don't even think he has a TV in his house. He doesn't even use email. He just doesn't engage with the sea of hatred he deals with day in and day out. And so, if personal attacks come my way, I'm going to brush it off. You're not going to see me running my mouth on Facebook or anything like that. If we have a serious disagreement on something and it devolves into a personal attack, I'm going to brush it off, and I'll invite that person out to lunch or something or dinner, and we can talk over the issue with the whiskey and a cigar like we used to do it.
Mr. Tillman?
I really like that. It's a matter, breaking bread is a good way to settle differences. And what's happened in the past is in the past as far as I'm concerned. We can learn from it. I think we've all experienced comments about the conduct of the board. And I think we need to live now and for the future. And conducting yourselves as an adult is mandatory for a position that some of us will hold. And I think integrity is vital. What we do not only reflects on us, but on our community. So, yes, that can happen, but maybe the best control of that is the people out there that are going to be voting. You need to know your candidates. A lot of you, get to know them personally. These are a bunch of good guys. We really have met, and I've really appreciated being included in the gatherings. And you're going to have differences. I've been on boards, but if you have respect, you will never have to worry about getting into personal arguments. That's my opinion.
Mr. Campbell, we'll finish up with you, and then we'll move on to closing statements.
So I have worked over my career with 11 to 18-year-olds. I have been called every name in the book already. So as far as trying to handle a meeting where things get heated and something gets said, I can brush that off and move on. I've only made one campaign promise this entire time, and I have promised to be civil and respectable if elected. You will not see me coming after any of these people. You will not see me going after people, in the community on Facebook. That's not who I am. And if we have a disagreement, it's going to happen. It's how you handle yourselves while it's happening. You don't always win. You don't always get everything you want. But it's how you come back from that and how you act in those defeats is what really defines a person. And I don't want to be that person that everybody's going, oh, look at him, look at him. So.
I thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our closing statements for each candidate, and this is a chance for them to talk to you, the voters. And the most important thing is I know they're going to be wanting your vote. And, with early voting starting here very, very soon, and then the election on August the 1st. And before I say, with the closing statement, I do want to say that I've always had this attitude, and let me say this to the voters out there. I've always had this attitude. If you're going to gripe about things and you don't agree with things that's going on, but you don't vote, I've got a problem with that. You got to vote. It's your right. We have a great country that allows us to do that. So please get out and cast your ballot for the candidate of your choice. We're candidates when it comes to the Alderman race. But I highly encourage everyone to please get out and vote. So if we start with Mr. Byrd, we're going to reverse order and just go this way. We'll start with Ms. McGee with the closing statement.
My closing statement is simple. I care about the future of Tullahoma, the place where I was born and raised. Again, I want to advocate for industries and jobs to come to this area. I am a product of Tullahoma City School Systems, and I support our Tullahoma School Board. I have a heart for the citizens of Tullahoma. I've served on several boards, including the Board of Mayor and Aldermen from 2020 to 2022. I've also served as a chaplain under the ordinance of the Tullahoma Police Department. I've served on the TAEDC board, and I've also served as a liaison of the Tullahoma Housing Authority. Again, I don't have an agenda for any type of self-gain or ulterior motives. I have no plan to advance my platform at the expense of the people. I just want to advance the people by way of the platform and to make a difference in the lives of the citizens here in Tullahoma.
John?
All right, of my three kind of campaign points, right, we talked about reputation repair, talked about growth a little bit, not as much as I would have liked, so I'm going to kind of quickly distill 2 and 3, sensible spending and sensible growth real quick. So, with the horrible economic policies of the current regime in Washington, right, we have crazy inflation, gas is more expensive, groceries are more expensive, everything's more expensive as us, the consumers. That applies to the government as well, right? It's more expensive to gas up the lawnmowers, the fire trucks, the cop cars, more expensive to maintain the roads, etc. So, yes, the budget's growing, but our expenses are also growing. So we need to be really good stewards of our budget, otherwise we're going to run into a crisis where we either have to raise taxes or make cuts, and we can't do that. We have to organically grow our tax base through, again, sales tax and property tax that leads into the growth. Sales tax is tough because, again, because of inflation, people are spending less money. That leaves a property tax, and that leaves sensible growth. We have to, as we grow and we scale, the infrastructure has to scale accordingly. We can't be approving these massive developments without considering the infrastructure holistically. We need to grow in bite-sized chunks and consider the infrastructure all along the way. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tillman?
Again, I want to appreciate all the people up here. Good group. I think any of us would work well together. I am running as a pure independent. I'm not involved in any coalition, special interest group, political parties. I don't have a personal agenda, and I'm financing my own campaign. And the reason for that is I want to have a voice for all the people. Tullahoma is my community. People are my people, now and the future. And yes, you will have choices for aldermen, and I hope you will consider me. As Lucky said, still like your name, Lucky, it's cool. Get out and vote. Get out and vote, and get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cameron?
Now that my nerves have settled a little bit, let me go back and thank the Duck, thank Lighttube, Tullahoma City Schools, and the Tullahoma News for putting this together. Thank you to everybody who's here listening to us live and online and on your TVs. And thank you to the candidates that are up here. Y'all have been awesome, and y'all have done a great job tonight. So, teacher, I don't have kids, I have fur babies. Gamer, sports enthusiast, MC, trivia host, Swiftie, I am just like you. I am not really you can call me a politician because I'm up here running for this position, but I'm just a citizen. I'm just, just like every one of y'all. I live here, I work here, I spend my money here. I want this to be the best town that it can possibly be. So, you can get a hold of me through my Facebook, Franklin Kamak for Alderman. I've got my phone number on there. I have my personal email on there. By all means, reach out, talk to me. I want to see the city grow. I want to see it to grow in the right way, in a responsible way. I want our small businesses to continue to thrive and do what they do. And I want our schools to have the best that they can have. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And congratulations to all of y'all in advance.
Mr. Byrd?
I would like to thank you again for this opportunity. I would also like to challenge the citizens of Tullahoma to take a more direct role in who leads the city. I think we should set a new record. I think typically we have a 15 to 20% voter turnout for municipal elections. See if we can get that number higher.
I agree.
Like everyone else here, I'm not up here doing this for personal gain. It's for the community. If anyone does have any other questions, my Facebook page, Matthew Byrd for Tullahoma Alderman, you can message me directly. I think I actually have 2 people waiting on an answer. since I've gotten here. And I do also look forward to the next meet and greet that we're going to host together. I hope all 5 of us can be there again. If not, then just come and see those of us who can be there.
30 seconds.
And if we don't plan, there's going to be chaos. So that's why we need to vote for people who can plan things. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, let me wrap up by saying this. You saw the candidates for mayor up here, and you've seen these 6 people up here. I'm just going to tell you, it's a tough choice. 3, 4, 5, sorry, I'm counting myself. Jeez. Trust me, it's been a long day. Maybe I'm running. But I do commend these candidates for putting their name out there and putting forth an effort to try to help Tullahoma. It's going to be a difficult test, coming forward of, what are we going to do? How are we going to vote? Because I think you heard a lot of good things tonight about Tullahoma. And I think that's very important as you go to the polls and trying to figure out, who am I going to vote for? Which candidates am I going to go for? That's going to lead us and continue to make Tullahoma a good place to be. So I commend them for running, and I also commend them for how they have been so respectful to each other tonight. The mayor candidates did the same thing. That was something that I stressed from the very beginning of this, that I wanted this to be respectful. I did not want it to be something that got out of hand, whether it be from the candidates or the public, and the public has been amazing. And I commend all of y'all for doing that. This is important to our city, and it's important for the continued part of our city as we move forward. I'm almost 60 years old, and I've lived in Tullahoma twice, 3 times, I think. Live in Manchester currently, but Tullahoma's always going to be special to me because it's a part of this area. And I think, the most important thing I can say once again is please get out and vote. Please do that, because I've always said you can't gripe if you don't vote. And so if you do that, then you've got a chance to go up and speak to these people. And I think even going back to the mayor candidates that were up here, they're open to talk to you. That's important. They're open to speak with you. They're not trying to shun you in any way. So please talk to them if you have a question that is different than anything that I've asked tonight. Please reach out to them and talk to them about your concerns. For 93.9 The Duck, On Target News, also the Tullahoma News, and of course Lighttube Cable, who came on board and was able to video this tonight. We appreciate everyone and everybody being here and everyone listening or watching. We thank you as well as we wrap up tonight's ceremony. Thank you so much for attending and being a part of the Tullahoma Political Forum. Thank you, everyone.